I'm so tired of people saying that it's just a movie, it's just a comic book, it's just a TV show. Whatever. No, it's not. Stories are the building blocks of our culture, of ourselves, even of our own psychology. We are a product of the stories we tell ourselves about our own past and the experiences on a daily basis, but also the stories that we choose to spend time with. What types of values, our feelings, or whatever are they promoting? What types that we like to spend our time around? They're going to shape us. They're going to shape our personality and character, and they're going to shape our perception of the world and the acts and behaviors that we put out into the world. And people don't understand that. They go, it's just a movie. It's just this. I can like and promote whatever I want. Well, of course you can, but you should pay attention to the responsibility that you have.
Consume stories responsibly.
As a member of society, as a human being, responsibility to yourself.
Consider the consequences.
You need some balance. You need some certain criteria that is going to make sure you're promoting the right kind of works, or at least have thought through the type of work that this or that story is going to do in our culture, and then make your own decision whether or not that's something you want to support.
Consume stories responsibly. Consider the consequences. Consume stories responsibly.
Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another office hours stream. As I say, the end and the beginning, right? Because we've got the last stream as an unmarried man. And of course, after this weekend, Sound Engraver and I will both come back for a Halloween stream after the next week or whatever, and you will see the married couple together. But figured I'd do one more stream, hang out with you guys, and see how that goes. Don't really have a specific topic, but there are always things that pop up we can chat about. I am on a clock as usual. I don't stream for so long, but so busy today. Oh my gosh, so busy today. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I also started my broccoli to steam, so you know how that is. But first off, welcoming the chat here is my lovely Sound Engraver. So ready to start a new life with you, my prof, as am I. We're both very ready for this expensive party to be over with. We're very much looking forward to the wedding ceremony. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be holy. It's the sacrament and everything. And the reception, I'm sure, will be fun when we're there. It's just so much freaking work, especially when you're paying for it by yourself. Oh my gosh, I have never paid so much money in one day. I paid for the tuxes, the photographer, just everything, one little thing after the other. But coming along. Dr. Y, thank you for coming. A bachelor party stream. Nice. I'll break out the root beer. Yeah, right. Because I don't even, what was my actual bachelor party? It was me, Fan Man, and Big Al doing a little private stream together, just watching some Hammer horror films and eating pizza and hanging out well into the night. It was a lot of fun. It was like 4 a.m. But Fan Man is coming up because he's the best man. Fan Man's the best man for the wedding. Now, technically, it's Fan Man and Big Al who are the best men, but Big Al sadly can't be there physically because of his, medical stuff. So Fan Man's coming up, and I only live like 3 hours from Big Al, which is why I can occasionally, go see him. So we are taking the day Thursday, and Fan Man and I are going to drive up and see Big Al. It'll be the first time all three of us are in the same room physically together. It'll actually be my first time meeting Fan Man too, in person, which would be pretty cool. So I'll have Alyssa with me, which should be interesting. But we'll get some pictures. And definitely talk about it a bit. So that'll be fun. Ghost Planet Max Inc., great to see you there. Francisco, good to see you. Luis Sanchez, thank you, appreciate that. Thank you, Spidey Rules, congratulations. Jackhammer City, thank you. Jin Yu, Andre Hernandez, Leah Plus Size, Nathaniel Lozball, great to see everyone. Schooner Tuna, Dread Pirate, so many people. A lot more people. Sorry, I can't just go through and name everybody, or else that's what I'll do for the stream. But Chuck Jones, Final Fantasy fan, good to see everybody. Mike Pine. So yeah, it's coming along. I just tried on my tux right before doing this stream because I picked it up today, and I'd gone in to try it on at first, and the legs were a little long, so I had them hem that up a little bit, and I went back and got it, and I shouldn't really have to try it on again, right? Because they marked worked it, where they needed to hem up the leg and everything. But I thought I need to try this on just once, peace of mind. I'd hate, that Saturday morning to, be putting on the tux like, what? This goes halfway up my calf, or something like that. So I tried it on and I looked darn sharp. I sent a picture to Fan Man and Big Al. I said, cue the ZZ Top. So gonna look pretty good. Dr. Y said, Fan Man's your best friend. Oh no, is he gonna give a speech? He is, Dr. Y. You are very right. I'm gonna trust him. I have to trust him. I'm sure he'll be fine. I already told him, no soundboard in your best man speech. It'll be good. Yeah. Leia plus size, congrats to you, Sound Engraver. Hope you both have a beautiful wedding. It will be. It'll be a really beautiful wedding. We're having the ceremony at in my parish, which is such a lovely parish too. It's just so idyllic, where we live. I'm hoping the weather is good. They are calling for a little rain that day. I'm very much hoping that the weather, it's pretty here no matter what the weather is, but it's just such a beautiful October countryside, and pictures would be really great out there. And then we're going to this other place for the reception, this estate, and it's gonna be really nice. It's gonna be really. We got a lot of geekery and already planned into the reception. It's gonna be fun. We're coming in our grand entrance to the Superman John Williams theme. We've got just finished the table charts. The table charts, every table at the reception is named after a different city in Middle Earth. And there's a big, just made this big framed picture. It's got a map of Middle Earth, and it's got the different names of the cities and then the people's names who are sitting at each table, so they can go look and find where their table is. And we've got like a nice Han and Leia silhouette thing that goes on top of the cake as a cake topper. And then when we exit after the reception, when we exit out and everybody's, clapping, blowing bubbles or whatever, we're going to exit to the Stargate SG-1 theme. So just mishmash of geekery just thrown in, not one theme. Who could pick one theme, good stuff. It'll be fun. Sound Engraver said, I'm watching him like a hawk, talking about Fan Man. I have to tell him to come back and listen to this stream. Mike Pine said, Fan Man agreed to no soundboard, but the coffee mug was non-negotiable. Oh yeah, he can have the coffee mug, whatever. We're not even really going to have alcohol at the wedding, not because I'm some teetotaler or anything, but it's an expense, right? Alcohol is freaking expensive. And I don't drink because I can't stomach it much, I can do a hard cider here and then. Other than that, Sound Engraver can drink a beer here and there, but we just never get around to drinking, But yeah, so he can have his mug of coffee. That'll be just fine. What else is going on here? What if your new ship name is Sound Professor? Oh, I think we said Prof Engraver was the relationship name, if people do that. So it'll be fun. We can talk about whatever you guys want to. Oh, thank you, Sam Proctor. See you there too. Congrats. Yeah, appreciate it. It'll be a lot of fun. We can talk about wedding stuff if you want. We can talk about love stories if you want. Sound Engraver has been talking a lot to me, and she plans on doing some stuff, some videos about AI art, and talking about her thoughts on that. And I won't step on her toes on that. But when I was trying to kind of think of a topic for tonight, I thought, if AI art comes up, it's interesting. But one of the defenses I see of people who think that they should be able to use AI art, like for example, they should be able to write a comic book and just use AI art, or there's people who are calling themselves artists and all they use is AI. That's not a thing. You can't. There's no such thing as an AI artist. It's not even the same thing as being like an electronic musician, where you have to like program in and know and stuff like that. AI art's just a computer programmer. It's a graphic designer. That's what you are. You're a graphic designer. You're not an AI artist. But a lot of the writers who you'll hear support of this saying, no, it's set us free. Now we can do our books. Now this and that. And just as a way of entry into this, I think there's a real sense of entitlement from writers. Yes, there is some measure of unfair gatekeeping in the industry and in the world as we know it, but very few of you are actually there with the talent, and it's just unfair gatekeeping keeping you back. you know, uh, pull up your big boy pants and realize that you need to pay an artist. And if you don't have the money right now, then you need to go get the money. You can't just put out your book before you get the money to pay an artist. And you got to, do this, this, and that, And so many people just want that quick shortcut. Got my idea, bing, bang, boom, published. It's like, no, that's not how that works. So that was one topic. I mean, I could go more deeply into that, but see how the chat's going. Like I said, I'm not going to stick around too long tonight, but I just wanted to hang out with you guys a little bit. Nathaniel Elizabeth says, sounds amazing. Yeah, the wedding theme is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Andre Hernandez says, now I need pictures of you of the wedding. I didn't expect this much geek and nerd stuff for your wedding. Of course, it's Professor Geek in Sound Engraver. We're going to have geek and nerd stuff. Not in the actual ceremony itself, because I'm Catholic and I want the nice, sacrament of the wedding. Plus, you can't bring in a bunch of neat geek stuff into a Catholic, church, where you got the Eucharist and everything. It's supposed to be reverent and stuff like that. But yeah, going into the reception, it'll be fun. We'll have some pictures. We'll share a picture, at least a picture or two. We'll decide on what we want to share, and we'll definitely share with you guys. Absolutely. Sound Engravers are Samuel Proctor, he says, dang it, YouTube. It said I didn't start yet. I had to reload it even to show it. Oh, yeah. Sometimes YouTube's weird like that. It always bugs me when I'll be waiting on Sound Engraver's stream to start. And it's supposed to start at a certain time. But if I don't sit there and like have the window open and like hit refresh every now and then, she'll have started streaming like first 2 minutes or whatever before the YouTube catches up, and she's like, oh, here it is, here's the live stream going on. That's one of the reasons why I play the music first on my live stream, because I figure that gives people enough time to get the notification if they did click the bell or whatever. For that, gives people time to get here and everything. Can't really leave it running too long, but it's an idea. Schooner Tuna says, Sound Engraver is the Lois Lane to your Superman. That she is. The Tila to my He-Man, the Mara to my Luke, Leia to my Han, whatever. Mike Pine says, I'm not much of a drinker myself, but if you're thinking of trying one, try the Johnny Walker Blue Label. It's an elixir. If it's straight up beer, I hate the taste of beer. I'm just one of those people. I know. I'd rather swallow like the fire of hard liquor shot than that hoppy, the taste of beer. That's why I say, where did Zima go, right? Where did Zima go? Blackberry Zima, man, that stuff was great. A friend of mine used to say, man, you just drink bitch beer. That's what he used to call it. Your bitch beer. Whatever. Just, what? Give me a Diet Pepsi. Diet Dr. Pepper back then, before Diet Dr. Pepper decided to suck. Dr. Weiss said, I used AI to redesign my profile, but I only used it to create reference material, not for the actual artwork. Yeah, I mean, AI isn't without its uses by any means, and it's a great tool that has a lot of applications, but it's people are thinking this is an easy way in. This is their easy way out. I don't need to. I can be an artist now without any skill or practice. There's also the aspect, and I can't really argue this with the most specific details ever, because I'm not an expert. I don't really have the interest to be an expert on AI art. But what AI does is it goes out there and gets its ideas from other images. All this input and information is being fed into the the software or whatever. So in essence, it really is plagiarizing. A lot of actual artists are kind of angry about this because, let's say that you need an image for your business or whatever. And before, you would have had to go out and hire an artist to create this image for your business. Now you decide, well, I'll just use AI for it. Well, AI is not a person. It's not creating something from scratch. It's going out there and pulling images and ideas and everything from other artists who have already done this stuff, and then kind of amalgamating them. Now, I mean, maybe the programs are better or worse at actually, looking original. And you can certainly say, well, isn't any artist influenced by others and stuff like that? Yeah. But I think there's a plagiarism. I think there's an argument to be made for it being plagiarism of a sort. Yeah. Leia Plus Size said, will you do your vows like Arwen and Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. Top romance. No, the vows will be, just the typical Catholic ceremony. We did choose those. We had, freedom to choose, certain readings from a certain list and everything. Fan Man is even going to be the lector, meaning the person who gets up and does the readings from the scripture and everything, because he actually does that sometimes at his own church down there. Gentle Savage says, Santa Beaver says, I'll have one heck of a stream when we come back. AI is a problem. Yeah. She's got a lot of really cool things to say, but she didn't want to just get herself so worked up right before the wedding because we've got so much else going on right now. Gentle Savage does it. Yo, Prof, have you seen the story about how George Martin is suing an AI company because a fan used it to make a fan fiction ending for the Game of Thrones books? I did not know that. But yeah, you can ask AI, write a sequel to this movie with this, this, and this, and it'll just write it. It has, I used to see a lot of advertisements. People say, you can start a blog. Just get AI to write your blog. Get AI to write your blog. And I'm thinking, what kind of soulless world are we living in? Who would want to read a blog written by AI? And you can tell. You absolutely can tell. And even if you can't tell, that's even more disturbing because then you're just becoming desensitized to that soulless nature of it. I mean, you think about it, an AI piece of writing isn't any heart or soul or even intellect behind this piece of writing. It's just input and processing of other ideas or things that are out there. It's not the same thing. I bet you a lot more people who are materialistic atheists are probably more likely not to have a problem with AI. I think if you believe in the essence of a person, in the soul or whatever, to any degree, then you have to kind of realize this stuff looks kind of soulless. It almost looks horrific, by which I mean sort of uncanny, because it's just like it's something pretending to be human, and it's really disturbing. Not that it doesn't have its uses or you can't, do certain things with it here or there or whatever, but yeah, it's disturbing to me a little bit. Samuel Proctor says, I won't have the problem with AI art in my books. I'll write and draw it. That's great. Hey, if you're somebody who can write and draw, man, count yourself lucky because you've got a good deal there. Thank you, Kinder Artistic Stuff. Good to see you, Green Lion Girl. Nathaniel Zlozball says, I have my idea. I'm in the process of writing said book, though I need to make a consistent schedule for writing it. Then there's the editing. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. If someone could just pay me to write, I could be very prolific. But the time, Gentle Savage said, also, Prof, have you ever seen The Tick? And also, what the archetype would the Tick be considered? Well, I love the old Tick cartoon. And I did watch a few episodes of, blanking on his name. He's such a cool guy, too. Putty from Seinfeld, the guy who played the Tick in the old classic series. He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Patrick Warburton, that's his name. Yeah, I liked him in that. I'd have to think about archetyping him. I have to go because it's been a long time since I've seen them. I have to go back and do, because I can't remember. I think he did inspire people, even though he's kind of a big goof. I have to think about that. Good topic though. Spidey Rule says, so there won't be a guy dressed as He-Man there. If Fan Man comes in dressed as He-Man, we're going to have some problems. Louis Sanchez, you keep saying Binks Brew. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that a, you said it was a song or now it's a beer or something? I have no idea what that is. Jackhammer City said, did Frank Miller's Dark Knight Rises, Frank Miller, Dark Knight, you mean Dark Knight Returns? Or have more of a positive or negative effect on Batman? Oh, much more of a negative effect. Much more of a negative. On the one hand, it energized people and got people interested in the character. But Frank Miller's Dark Knight is or Dark Knight Returns was the name of it. There's this lie that's being told about, by comic book historians or people who look back at it and they say, Frank Miller got people to take the character seriously again. Yeah, they act like it was nothing. It was like Batman 66, and then that was it with Batman until you had Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. That's a load of horse crap. You had Denny O'Neil, Len Wein, people were doing amazingly very mature writing with Batman. I mean, the whole Ra's al Ghul thing was there and about long before Frank Miller ever turned his gross art style to Dark Knight Returns. The idea of the story is a cool Elseworld story, but it gets so much more credit than it deserves. And it's not, it didn't become like, it didn't swoop in and save the character of Batman. It's a really, really overrated book. Again, I don't think it's horrible. I think the art's kind of crap because I just don't like Frank Miller's art. But the story's not horrible as an Elseworlds, but it's so overrated. That's just me there. Got a super chat here from Studio Super. Thank you, Studio Super, for $4.99. Just got off work. Happy wedding day for you crazy kids. Thank you so much, Studio Super. Appreciate that. It's going to be great. It's Saturday. Man, there's so much to do between now and Saturday. I mean, tomorrow I have to do a bunch more things to prep. Got to mow the yard and everything. Got to teach still. I'm still working, And then Wednesday I grab Alyssa again and still do prep work, because I have her for a few days. Thursday, go to see Big Al with Fan Man. That'll be a blast. And then Friday is the day before the wedding. It's prep, get the reception area decorated and, move right into the rehearsal. So bang, bang, boom, it is coming along quickly. Great. Wow. Big super chat here. Thank you so much, Dr. Y. I appreciate that for $25. So I got to do this at least one more time. Marriage. Marriage is what brings us here today. Marriage. That blessed arrangement. That dream within a dream. And love, true love, will follow you forever. So treasure your love. Love that scene. And I love Chris Sarandon there. Man and wife. Say man and wife. Great scene. Thank you for allowing me the chance to read that, Dr. Y. Awesome. It's a song from One Piece. Okay, Luis Sanchez. Yeah, I haven't seen One Piece yet. That's a series I haven't gotten into. I don't know if I would like that or not. Like I said, when it comes to anime, I'm pretty, well, not always, but I'm pretty specific. I like the hero stories. I like that shonen style hero thing, so Demon Slayer, My Hero, Naruto. But I do like some things like the noir stuff. What was it called? Psychopaths and some other things too. Obviously Cowboy Bebop and stuff like that. So maybe I'll check out One Piece at some point, but good to know that that's where that comes from. Mike Pine says the worst effect DKR had on DC Comics was the idea that Batman and Superman don't like each other. And even if they wanted, they just can't be friends. I'm so glad Public Enemies existed after that. Me too. Amen, Mike Pine. Amen. That's such a dumb idea. I mean, Zack Snyder didn't have a story. David Goyder didn't have a story. He was just ripping off, Dark Knight Returns and then some other crappy things that have been done in the comics here and there and just putting them in a blender to make a big load of Superman, Batman crap juice for you. That's ridiculous. The idea that Superman and Batman couldn't be friends. And that's a Frank Miller thing. These guys wouldn't be friends. Well, you don't understand them then. So stop writing comic books. That's ridiculous. The idea. If you pit Batman and Superman against each other, you're thinking like hero and villain. You're thinking, hero and vigilante, in this kind of way. And people misunderstand those terms as they apply to the DC universe. Batman and Superman are two sides of the same coin, and they understand that. And if you have any kind of story in which they don't understand that, then you're not telling the right stories about these characters. You're completely missing the mark on the archetype. So yeah, I agree with you. Studio Super, thank you so much for the other super chat there. Said scary thing is how professional actors, writers, and others behave. They're setting themselves up to where people would prefer the soulless AI over the drama nonsensical folks handling the stuff. Yeah, I didn't really think about it. You're right. That's a whole other area of that topic, talking about like the big, big name, like can companies use AI, and it really on some level, it's kind of the same spectrum of people using computer animation, even though computer animation, there's still very much room in there for human, it is actually art, using computers to animate it, but there is a lot removed. There is a lot, there's uniformity. There is a lot of the soul taken out of 3D art. Again, I'm not poo-pooing 3D art altogether. I think it's an art form and it's valid and that's great. But I know that I can't watch too much of it. I think it's so sad that Disney has just become nothing but that. Uh, Princess and the Frog was the last 2D film they made, and even those 2D films were still using computers, to help with stuff, and that's fine. But yeah, I think going all the way to AI now, it's a problem. But as you say, actors, going crazy with their politics or whatever. I don't know. It's a big topic. Studio Super says, when it comes to the art style of Dragon Ball, I thought it was a cartoon with edge, mind you. Was shocked to find out later that it was anime. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, I think that might have been the first, not the first anime I ever saw. Not that I watched it or really followed the series or anything, but just visually seeing. I watched what's the name of the not Nausicaa. Nausicaa or Nautica of the Wind. That was a film that I was watching as a kid. I like that film. That was probably the first anime I ever watched. It's good stuff. Spidey Rule says someone has pointed out that the fight between Batman and Superman in Dark Knight Returns only worked because they were friends before that point in their lives. I mean, again, if you're accepting that story as an Elseworlds, it still misunderstands the character because Superman in that story is just a little pawn of the government. The president can ask him to do this, this, and that, and that's not who Superman is. He's there to stand for truth, justice, and the American way, but he's not there to be ordered about by the president or ordered about by, the American military or whatever. It just totally misunderstands the character big time. Slav, thank you, Slav, channel member there. So I used to think as you did about DKR, but to reread it, it shocked me on how fantastic the story about a man going insane and having battled his way back to sanity. Well, yeah, exactly. If you take it as an Elseworlds like that, if you accept it as Elseworlds, well, then the rules of who the characters are kind of they don't necessarily apply anymore, right? The problem is that Frank Miller didn't really write it as an Elseworlds. He wrote it as these are who these characters truly are. And that's how the influence of it applied to the greater comic universe, people people writing actual canon runs for the characters. I drew my inspiration from Dark Knight Returns. It's like, well, no, you're not supposed to. That was an Elseworlds, and you're trying to apply that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's a very well written story. I'm not going to argue with you there at all. Jackhammer City said, I heard that Netflix One Piece was faithful to the manga, but the thing is to me that this is just Netflix trying to get fans back before going back and crapping all over them again. Yeah, I wouldn't trust anything much that Netflix does. I am in the middle. I'm almost finished with the book now, The Pale Blue Eye, because I hadn't even heard about this book, and I'm such a Poe fan. I didn't know why, but I saw the advertisements that Netflix was doing this film, and it was a murder mystery that takes place during Poe's years when he was at West Point Military Academy. And I thought, well, that's interesting, but I don't really trust Netflix to do any justice, But then I found out it was based on a book, a guy who writes historical fiction, and it's a great book. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't gotten to the end yet, but what's so fun about it? It's fun on a lot of archetypal levels and as well as prose levels. It's called The Pale Blue Eye. What's the guy's name who wrote it? Let me see. Blanking on that. The main character, Mr. Landor, is really a hard-boiled detective. Like long before Louis Bayard. Louis Bayard's the author of it. Is really he's kind of like a hard-boiled detective, and of course we know that Poe went on to create detective fiction. Sherlock Holmes wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Poe. So it's interesting. You've got this hard-boiled detective-like character who was a constable in New York City at the time and stuff like that. And he's coming into West Point to try and solve these murders. And this young cadet Poe, tells him, these murders were committed by an artist, and what's so interesting is that Louis Bayard really does a good job of writing in the voice of Poe. There are times when Poe will write reports and send to Mr. Landor, and it really does read like a Poe style prose. But what's so cool about it is the book really seamlessly goes back and forth between Poe's very florid, embellished prose style to the hard-boiled narration of Mr. Landor, which is more akin to the hard-boiled fiction of the early 20th century, you know? So it's really a fascinating book. I'm enjoying that. Once I finish it all, then I'll watch Netflix's version of it or adaptation of it, just to see if it's worth the thing, anything. Studio Super says if a character can mean anything when they mean nothing, just like when everyone is super, no one will be. Character can mean, oh yeah, if a character can mean anything, then they mean nothing. Yeah, exactly. If you throw out all the rules. Now, I mean, Elseworlds are cool when you use them as a what if scenario, right? Like Elliot S. Megan wrote a really cool what if scenario. What if Batman and Robin had taken place like during the Grant administration, just after the Civil War? So sort of a steampunk, you know, and you got Batman riding this black horse, and Robin is this you know, kid who was half Indian and stuff like that. It was actually really cool. So things like that. It's like, what if this was a different setting, or what if this little thing was tweaked about the character? But if you go too far, you're right. It's like you just threw a bat symbol on Jack the Ripper. Like, who cares, you know? um, Gentle Savage talking about the Infamous games. You know, I played the first one a little bit. I don't remember why I never kept with it. I liked the idea. The premise was pretty fun, but I didn't keep with it to get the whole story. But it was a cool premise. I know that they did a Infamous 2. I'll have to pick those up back again and try it one day. Spidey Rule says, one thing I hate that resulted from Dark Knight Returns is that people think Batman is insane, and that is his no-kill rule is the only thing that separates him from the villains as opposed to one of them. You're right. This is just the stupidity of people who think that they know Batman, and it all comes from the Dark Knight Returns. That is not a clear take on his character. You know, as I've said many times, he is the light shining in the darkness. He's surrounded by a lot of darkness, and he has to take on the appearance of darkness. Cowards are criminals are a cowardly and superstitious lot and all of that, but he's not an insane madman. He's not there exacting vengeance on these people and working out his anger. No, that's ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. I got a message from Fan Man. What? Only Fan Man knows I'm streaming. He sends me the weirdest gifts. Right back. I told the stream that you would be giving the best man speech. They're all very worried for me. There we go. What else is going on here? Check the time too. Broccoli. Oh, we're good on the broccoli. Studio Super, thank you so much there, sir. So another cool thing, I'm watching the 66 Batman show. He always expresses the hope of his rogues gallery getting help and rehabilitation. That shows real heart in the character we don't see nowadays. Yeah, it even bugs me when this idea, the basic idea of this premise isn't bad. It was done really, really well in like Batman the Animated Series. But when a character, when a rogue will turn over a new relief and start trying to clean their act up, and Batman is written like somebody who, like, I don't even believe you can change. I'll be watching you every step of the way because I know you're this, this, and that. Now, sometimes, if he has reason to think that they're the criminals, you know, turning over a new leaf is disingenuous or whatever, then sure. But sometimes people just write him as just, you know, like you said, wanting to kill, but just not quite doing it. You know, it's really ridiculous. Samuel Proctor, Fan Man's actually going to be the best man. Yes, he is. Schooner Tuna says Batman versus Two-Face is a spectacular animated movie. Yeah, the 66 one. You know, I still haven't watched that. I've got it. I bought it because I love the first Batman 66 animated film so much. But yeah, Shatner is Two-Face. I had to get that. I think I was so busy at the time that I bought it that I didn't get around to it, and then I keep forgetting about it. Out of sight, out of mind. I got to watch that. Definitely have to do that. Wolf 10 Media, good to see you there. Good to see you. Yeah, Mike Pine, people who think Batman is a crazy lunatic are the equal on how J. Jonah Jameson looks at Spider-Man. You know, that's a good point. I never put that connection together, but that's true. That's true. And It tells me a lot about somebody when you want a character like Batman, because they're really invested in it too. They are just desperate for him to be a brutal, savage, vigilante, this kind of stuff. It's almost like they're trying to justify some part of themselves that gets off on that, or just really desperately wants that catharsis in that or something. And there's a place for those types of characters in measure, but stop trying to turn Batman into one. He's never been that. Go freaking read The Punisher and leave. Get out of here. It's never understood that. Uh, Studio Super says basic rule in writing Batman: don't turn him into someone Superman wouldn't be friends with. Why would Supes be friends with a nutcase? Doesn't work. Yeah, like I said, if you want a really great work on the friendship of Batman and Superman, of course, Public Enemies is great, but Carl Kessel's World's Finest. This was written with the continuity at the time that was in the 80s. Um, it had like a different Justice League. None of the real big heavy hitters in the DC universe were necessarily part of the Justice League at that point. Um, but it was Carl Kessel wrote a story, Batman and Superman. They have this team up when they first meet each other. They end up doing this team up, and I think something goes wrong in trying to save this person. So they decide that they will meet together once a year, every year from then on, and they'll meet. They'll talk more obviously in between that one, but at least once a year they'll have this special date on this anniversary of this thing that happened. I won't spoil it for you. You can go read the book. And they'll kind of check in with each other and encourage each other, see how things are going, hero wise and stuff. And it goes through their development of their life. So, when Superman or when Batman brings on Barbara Gordon, his Batgirl, he wants Superman's opinion on her. So that's, so each like little issue is another year later or whatever when they're doing this meeting. When Superman dies, the death of Superman, and the other, the reign of Superman, the other Superman imposters come about, and Batman's trying to investigate a little bit of that. When Nightfall happens and Batman, is laid up with a broken back, and you've got Azrael being Batman, you got Superman coming to confront him about being too brutal, and this is not what what the name that you're taking is really stands for and stuff. Really, just fascinating, just so good. Carl Kessel's World's Finest, definitely recommend that. See if I didn't miss anything here. Sam Bar said, "Be prepared to keep singing about batarangs after you watch the Batman '66 movie." I really need to watch it. It'll be fun. Jackhammer City said, "Thought on Batman Brave and the Bold, as I recently just started rewatching it and never got the hate for it." I didn't either. I think it was people didn't realize that Brave and the Bold was more of a show. It's still, you can watch it as an adult or whatever, and still some cool storylines. I love the Blue Beetle storyline, but people were wanting another Batman the Animated Series, I think, and they didn't realize that this one was a different thing. It was supposed to be for kids, a little bit more safer for younger kids, and stuff. And but I thought it was great. Yeah, I like the Batman the Brave and the Bold. I wouldn't want nothing but that, but yeah, it's great to have that kind of flavor there. It's good stuff. Fanman says Gibbons and Rude's World's Finest is better than Kessel's. That's a good one too. I've read that, and I remember in Gibbons and Rude's, and no, you know what? Actually, I disagree with you on there, Fanman, because Dave Gibbons is the artist, right? Yeah, Dave Gibbons is the artist, usually an artist, but he's writing. He wrote this one, and he got Steve Rude to do the art, and I wasn't quite as impressed with it. Now, maybe I'll have to reread it. It has been a long time. I'll reread it if but I wasn't that impressed with it. I thought the story was a little weak when I first read it, but it's been so long that I can't really tell you what I thought was weak about it. But I didn't hate it, but I just didn't. It felt to me like an artist trying to be a writer. That's what it felt like, that is sometimes possible, of course, but a lot of times artists think, I know these characters, I know what these stories should be, I'll just write something, and a lot of times maybe you should just stay over there with the paintbrushes, but yeah, Gibbons is a writer, but he was the artist on Watchmen. Yeah. Oh, you're giving me a hard time. Okay, yeah, I never know if Fanman's serious or not, in text anyway. Dr. Y says Batman is the same hero he is in the 60s show. The only difference is the world around him has changed. The 60s is his ideal world, but he knows it's not possible. Yeah, I mean, he's fighting for. I mean, I like the way Fan Man puts it. You know that he's the Dark Knight, but let's not forget that that knight is Knighd, and everything that goes along with that chivalry and fighting for the defenseless and so forth. The code of honor, all of that's in place. He's a Dark Knight, dark, yes, but knight nonetheless, and that's an important distinction to make. Slav, thank you for the super chat. There said Bruce is happy who he is. He views his life as bats as a calling. He created a bigger family out of the two he lost. Batman also doesn't split personality. Yeah, I don't like that either. That idea that is multiple personality disorder or something. Like, no, stop. Jill Savage is asking what I thought about the 2004 Batman animated series. Do you mean the was that the one, The Batman? Uh, if it's The Batman, I thought it started out really cool, but it didn't really know what direction it wanted to stick with, and it got kind of weird by the end. But I thought it started out cool. That theme song from Edge from U2, you just can't beat that. That was awesome. Oh, Beware the Batman. Yeah, I haven't watched that one much. I tried watching the first one, and I didn't like the change they made to Alfred. I thought that was just, I don't like that. No, stop it. He's the butler. Leave it alone. Um, and it wasn't so crazy about the aesthetics of it. But that being said, I will admit to not really giving it a super fair shot. So if a lot of people think it's great, I'm not here to tell you you're wrong necessarily. I just, the first episode I watched it, and I was like, this isn't for me. It's just not for me. Oh, Samuel Proctor. Yeah, the Batman versus Dracula. That is such a great movie. That's wonderful. I did a whole review of that when I was doing a lot of Halloween content one year. Really good. Really good. Yeah, I love that one. Uh, yeah, Fan Man says Beware the Best. Not as good as the Batman. The Batman was great for 2 seasons. Yeah. Yeah, they brought in Batgirl when I guess they wanted to try to appeal more to Batgirl. And Batgirl being there wasn't a problem, but it like became her show for a while. And then they brought in Robin, and it became more. It kind of happened a little bit at the end of the first run of Batman the Animated Series. The producer stepped in as like, we want more Robin, we want more of the kid, focus. And at the very, very end of that first run of the Batman Animated Series, before they brought it back as the new Batman Adventures, uh, it lost a little bit of its noir sheen and became a little bit more. It was still good, but it just was a little change there happening. But yeah, Batman versus Dracula is so great. One of the things I liked about that series too was Robert Englund as the Riddler. That was free. That was just inspired. I never would have thought to cast Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, as voicing the Riddler. But man, and they made him look like Alice Cooper, which was so cool too. It's just a totally different take on some of the. So they really in the Batman series they just blew it wide open. They took like sometimes really different takes on the villains. Sometimes it was so cool because it opened up another aspect of that villain that was always there. In a few cases, they went off the rails a little bit and shouldn't have gone that far. But that was something cool about that. Um, Nathaniel's Loseball said, Monsterverse question. Have you noticed that all 4 films have a theme revolving around fathers and children? Are you afraid that they will phase that out in the future? You're right. It is about, but because those 4 classic monster movies, the creatures I got behind me here, um, with that theme of father and son or father and children, it's there quite a bit. It's because that's at the heart of a real monster is like what lies in our past. And how do we fight the monster from our past? It can't be by denying our past. We have to cling to the tried and true traditions. We have to look at our past and figure where do we go wrong and get back on track with where we were right. It still demands looking back in the past, which is why, religious objects, make Dracula vulnerable and so forth. It's why, um, Frankenstein, it's a crime against nature. Let's get back to where science has kind of gone off the rails a little bit, before that and stuff. And we're living in a world today that's not interested in telling those stories because the world doesn't believe that. The progressive world we live in today doesn't want to look at the past for answers. Are you kidding me? No, let's keep looking forward to our beautiful utopia that we're all moving towards, where gender and race and nothing exists, and we're all just bland little automatons doing what the government tells us. You know, that's what they want, and that's the stories they're going to try and tell. So yeah. Oh, interesting. Spider Rule says they wanted to use Robin first in the Batman, but because of the Bat embargo, they weren't allowed to use Robin due to him being in the Teen Titans cartoon. I did not know that. Interesting. You know, when I talked to I'm blanking on her name now. I did an interview with I'm blanking on her name. She was the woman who did the voice for the Ruby Spears Superman series. She did the voice for Lois Lane, but she was also the director for the voices, and she voice directed a lot of the shows, and she voice directed the Batman. And I actually asked her, because we had such a great talk in an interview about her work on Ruby Spears and her work with Hanna-Barbera before that. It was a really fun interview. And I tell people it was so fun because she kept saying my name. Well, Michael, this and that, Michael. And I'm like, Lois Lane is saying my name. Because it was just over the speakers, and I could hear this voice that I grew up with, playing Lois Lane in the cartoon. But I tried to get her to come on and talk about her work with the Batman, and she intimated that there wasn't much to talk about. She didn't come out and say it was a bad experience, but I got the impression that it wasn't necessarily like a fun thing to look back on necessarily. I don't know. I'm not putting words in her mouth, but that was what I got from her. Gonna wrap it up here in just a second because got that broccoli in the steamer and I'm getting hungry. It's been a long day. I'm running all kinds of errands, coming back, getting things fixed up here, doing this and that, and all kinds of stuff. Mike Pine said, Prof, what are your thoughts on Batman Beyond? You said you personally hate it. To me, it's the Batman equivalent to Lunatics cartoon made for Looney Tunes. I think the premise of Batman Beyond is fun. And I think some of the shows were really great. I like the character, but I think it made some really horrible decisions with the characters. I think this is the beginning of Bruce Timm really showing his colors, because he gets the credit, more credit than he should, for Batman the Animated Series and for the whole DC Animated Universe. But really, if you really look at what happened with the DC Animated Universe, Bruce Timm gave us the aesthetic. And that's where his credit should stop. Now, he gets a lot of credit for that aesthetic. It's amazing. It's amazing. But you read interviews and you find out the kind of things that he wanted to do during that series, and the things that, people that in DC who actually cared about the characters back then wouldn't let him, thankfully. And you realize that really what came out of that series story-wise was more Paul Dini. And some of the other writers, Michael Reeves, it was these kind of minds that were really giving us the beautiful, wonderful stories from that whole DC Animated Universe. Bruce Timm he's a little Zack Snyder in a lot of ways. I mean, after Zack Snyder's, Man of Steel came out, Bruce Timm decided he was coming back to DC almost because he wanted to prove what a badass he was too, and he did the movies like what if Zod's son was Superman, or all that kind of stuff. It's just and then with the Killing Joke and Batman and Barbara banging on a rooftop or something. Bruce Timm's kind of insane. He doesn't understand the characters. He understands the aesthetic, and that's always been great with him. But he does not deserve. And I think you saw a lot of his stupid, horrid ideas about these characters coming through in Batman Beyond, because that's when you had like there was a thing between Bruce and Barbara and all this kind of stuff, and just pouring in crossing the lines in places that they shouldn't have been crossed. Paul Dini is the man when it comes to these characters. He's the one you want to look to. Michael Reeves was wonderful, gave us a lot of great stories with these characters and stuff. Good topic though. But I don't hate the series. I think that there was a lot of good done in the series too. Dangers of nowadays, Studio Super says, people are more interested in asking what they can do than what they should do. Yeah, that's a good point. Just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. Great power, great responsibility. Exactly. Yeah, little things like that. You know what? One of the first things that told me that the Batman movie with Pattinson was going to be crap was in the trailer when he's like beating a thug, and he's overcome the thug. He's down, and he looks at him. He just hits him a couple more times, just like out of rage. Like, nope, not Batman. Oh, but Prof, that movie's about him learning that he has to be a thumb, but same crap you tried to say about Man of Steel and why that was great. No. Yeah, what's so wrong with aspirational heroes? All right, got me all worked up. Gonna have to check out here in a second. Where did that go there? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, when you see, yeah, Sandra Proctor, when you see the DCAU start to finish, you can see Bruce Timm's horny influence being more and more unrestrained. Well, I mean, yeah, Bruce Timm, he has that wonderful art style, but if you just look up Bruce Timm images of these characters, it's not long before you get all the fetishized pictures of these characters, and I love a good idealized, versions of these characters, physically idealized, sure, but he's got the fetish, you know, at least when George Perez, because George Perez would do fetish art too, but he kept that separate. It wasn't a part necessarily of his technical professional comic book stuff. Studio Super says though Batman Beyond, I especially love the episode The Splicers. If you didn't know any better, it'd make a great analogy for a certain alphabet group. This episode would not be made today. I'd have to go back and watch that one. Like I said, it was so long ago. I've watched Batman the Animated Series over a number of times, and that's great. But I think I saw Batman Beyond, not even all the episodes, and kind of left it there. All right, I am going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. It was the last stream of the Unmarried Prof. Next time, I might drop a video or something if I have a chance, and maybe Sound Engraver and I will do a little, make a YouTube short or something like that while we're on the honeymoon or something. I don't know. We'll maybe do something, but we will be back at least for Halloween. We'll do a stream Halloween night. It'll be fun. All right, guys. Thanks so much for everything, and I'm gonna go eat now. Really appreciate your support. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.